the ball a little bit quicker, and certainly our movement off the ball needs to be better than what it has been in the first half.
Ned, it's not the first time though we've seen teams that are favoured to win matches such as Australia come out against lesser known opposition perhaps and fall into the trap of playing either the same way as your opponent or not be as motivated. Of course, the difference between Australia playing Holland and this is huge. I mean, psychologically, and I wonder if that's impacted on them.
Well, I mean, obviously for some of the players playing against a team like this 5 days out of the World Cup is obviously not that easy. I mean, it just looks like to me that everyone's a bit lethargic. It looks like one of those games where, you know, the boys want to get it over and done with and get back to the hotel pool.
Well, maybe this guy would like to get back to the hotel pool. He was not happy, of course, on that set piece. It was Lucas Neal who nodded the ball past the Zeljko Kalac. And then we started to see the Socceroos slowly but surely find some space, Branko. But where, Ned, did you see the best part of the Australian performance in the first half? Did you see them settle into a rhythm?
Not really. I just think that we need to attack these teams down the flanks and then get our crosses in. And also, we want players like Harry Kewell on the ball to get it and to run at people and to commit people, and that hasn't been happening at all.
Well, let's throw it open then, Branko. Harry Kewell, Tim Cahill and John Aloisi, three players who are under the microscope because they had been carrying injuries.
Yeah, look, I think all three have done reasonably well. Harry in patches has done some nice stuff. His touch is probably letting him down a little bit. I think in that first period there was a beautiful through ball. I'm not quite sure who it was, Skoko or someone. And Harry really should have done better to control the ball, but that's to be expected. He hasn't played for a little while. John Aloisi, again, has been in good positions to score. In fact, he missed a sitter from a Mile Stojovski cutback. And Tim Cahill has been rather quiet in the middle of the park. He really hasn't played his normal game, where I think the instructions for him and Skoko are more or less to sit in the middle of the park and allow Stojovski and Kewell to support Aloisi. So I think overall you'd have to be reasonably pleased with their performance, due to the fact that they were there just to make sure that they got game time rather than worry too much about trying to make things happen.
Well, Ned, four players who have got game time again in relation to what we saw against Holland. Stojovski, who scores the equaliser there, Emerton, Neal and Moore, so they're backing up all four of them before they play Japan. We probably expect all four of those guys to start again.
I'm actually surprised that he played them. I don't know the reasons behind it, but the way it looks, I mean, the way Branko said as well, they look a bit unsteady at the back, and I think the big problem as well, and I've noticed that there've been a lot of players overhitting balls, so we've got to get into some sort of a rhythm where we're keeping possession, because if we constantly keep giving possession away or overhitting the balls, then that was
this is Harry
touch
here
from Harry again, yeah. But I think you can tell that you know, Harry's had a long time out, so he's going to need a bit of time to get back into the rhythm of things.
Well, Branko, what would you think Koos Hiddink would be saying now at half-time to these guys? Because he's not the kind of person who'll accept second best. He really is a perfectionist, so irrespective of whatever the reasons are for the performance we've seen thus far, he will always demand more.
I don't think Hiddink will say much. That's not his nature. He'll walk into that dressing room, and from what I know of Hiddink, will walk about, look at players without saying much, and then he'll just walk away and leave it to the players to work it out, letting them know by body language that basically, hey, listen guys, I'm not happy. We need to keep that ball and make sure that we get ourselves into some kind of form before the game against Japan.
Okay, thank you for the moment.
Oh, it's difficult to have some sort of indication. For me, it was encouraging Josh Kennedy, the fact that he was a real presence up front, and I think that you know, if you're going to get crosses into the box, then he'd be someone that'd be useful. Here, a chance for Liechtenstein, and it was concerning how often the Australian defence was exposed. They just seemed to go to sleep on a few occasions.
This is one of the set pieces in which Craig Moore heads just wide. Branko, 58 minutes for Harry Kewell. What did you think of his performance, and do you think we'll see him from the start, or is he going to be an impact player, as some are suggesting, off the bench against Japan?
Look, It's not that Harry did a great deal in the 58 minutes that he was on the park, but the very fact that he survived 58 minutes and got 58 minutes of game time was a positive for Australia, and that was something that I think we should all be pleased with. Will he start against Japan? I think he will, but more so because I don't think we have too many other options, and for that reason I would expect, and I do think that Harry will be in the starting 11.
So the one to perhaps go out would be Wiltshire, maybe not coming back into the side. You've got Bresciano, Grella, Schwarzer, maybe Kalina, Chipperfield, Viduka all set to come back in. Would you agree, Ned, for the next match?
Pretty much so. I can see Cahill definitely coming into the team, along with Harry, the changes from the last game. So I think the team is pretty much set in Gus Hiddinck's mind, but it'll be encouraging for him to know that he does have options definitely in Josh Kennedy and John Aloisi if he does need them.
I think the other thing that I just want to add to that, talking about the other options, we were all delighted with Mark Schwartz's performance against Netherlands, but equally tonight, if you look at Kalatz's performance, you must say that he certainly didn't do any harm to his chances of being selected against Japan.
In a funny way, they seem to have cancelled each other out again, although the opponents are very different, but a save's a save.
Save's a save, doesn't matter whether it's against Netherlands or Liechtenstein. Kalatz really tonight showed that he, if there is a gap there, it certainly was closed by some substantial margin tonight.
Well, it seems as though there's almost very little between them, of course, especially when Schwarzer picked up an injury towards the latter part of the season. But there's a goal on debut for Josh Kennedy, and he came into this squad, of course, revered for his strength in the air, and he's proved it there with a brave header. He takes a slap in the cheekbone as well and puts it right in that corner. So he might be very useful in the World Cup, perhaps in the latter stages of matches. Ned, do you see a spot for him?
Definitely. I've seen a lot of him in Germany. He's a very brave boy. And gets himself into those scoring positions, and I think it's a key to success. I mean, we see how many times when we go down the flanks, there's another situation there we were exposed to the back, but when we go down the flanks and get those crosses in, then even the world-class defences have problems defending. So I think that we might have to think about maybe playing two strikers up front.
Do you think Hiddink, though, Branko, would be concerned at seeing this lapse in concentration in various areas?
Well, certainly from a defensive point of view, yes, because let's face it, we had probably 2/3 of our defence playing today with Brett Emberton started the game, Lucas Neal and Craig Moore were in defence, and Tony Popovich is the only real change to that back four. So when you consider it was almost full strength, it was a little disappointing to be conceding so many opportunities to a side that isn't really renowned for being world class.
What can you tell us, Branko, about the two boys who've come on in Sarkis and Kilkenny? Are they two being groomed for the future?
Oh, without a doubt. Otherwise, they wouldn't be taking part in this World Cup preparation. Sarkis, in particular, has shown during the year at the Melbourne victory that he's a very promising player, and one that, with the experience by being involved in the World Cup, will go a long way. With Kilkenny, I'm not quite sure. I don't know too much about him, but the reports are that he's quite promising and he's made an impact at Birmingham.
Ned, what do you think of Australia's depth just on that point? Because there's a talk that a lot of players will have to leave the international scene perhaps after this World Cup campaign. Even Viduka's talking about maybe quitting the national team after the World Cup because of the travel schedule to Asian Cup matches and the like. Do you see a healthy future for the Socceroos?
Well, I mean, obviously it's difficult to offer a prognosis now on the future, but I'm sure that there's some good young players coming through, and Australia has always seemed to find potential here and there, so I'm pretty sure that we don't have to worry about the future too much.
Okay, well, let's hear about the present and go back to All now, where